I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately, and one of the ones that I finished not too long ago was Ben Franklin's autobiography. And it was very intriguing. If you have any interest in learning from an incredible mind and the example of an amazing life, I highly recommend picking up either a copy to read or to listen to, as I did. Now, the thing for me, of course, that was most interesting were Franklin's views on religion. Because you probably know Ben Franklin was a deist. And deism has a lot of different meanings. In his case, it was basically that he did believe that there was some type of God and that he was personal and that he did hold people accountable for their actions. But Franklin did not believe that God interfered with the universe. And so he didn't believe in miracles. He didn't believe in special revelation, the idea of the Bible, that God gave us any type of message. And so as a result, Franklin did not believe that Jesus was God. And now, of course, I disagree with him and all deists on that, but it is easy to understand where they were coming from with that, because a lot of them were very shortly removed from the religious wars in Europe. And they saw the devastation that those caused, and so they wanted to try to kind of boil down religion to the lowest common denominator. What was it that all religions believed? Essentially moral teachings, and everything else that made religions exclusive could either be live and let live at the very least, or could just be thrown aside altogether. Now, of course, like I said, I disagree with that. I do believe in the exclusive claims of Christianity. But I started to hypothesize, if I had known Ben Franklin, if I'd been alive in, say, the 1750s and had an opportunity to speak with him and to witness to him, what would I have done? And could I have been effective? And I don't really know that I could have been, because he really couldn't have asked for a better evangelist. He had a personal relationship with George Whitefield, the greatest preacher of the Great Awakening. They had numerous conversations. Whitefield witnessed to him a number of times and wasn't able to make a dent, largely boiling down to the fact that Ben Franklin was, he seems humble in a lot of ways, but he was very self-righteous. And when you have someone who's that self-righteous, it's very difficult to convince them of a need for a savior. But that also started to get me thinking kind of in the opposite direction. What if Franklin were here now? What if he was alive today? Would we have any better luck? And I think maybe that we would, because Franklin, for whatever flaws and faults he did have, he was very open-minded. And we have something that past generations of Christians have not had. We have evidence. In the 20th century and into the 21st century here, there have been disciplines that have been developed that have helped us understand the Bible better than ever before. Things like anthropology and archaeology. And they show us that a foundation of deism, and of all later atheism, is not true. They believed that the Bible was the result of a legendary development, that over the course of the centuries that followed the life of Jesus, that his followers turned him from a great teacher into God by the stories that they made up and added over the course of time. But we now know that that is not true. We know through the sciences that we have available to us that the earliest writings of the New Testament were completed less than 20 years after the crucifixion, and that the latest of those writings were completed 60 years afterward. That everything was done that's in the New Testament was written within a single lifetime after Jesus rose back from the dead and ascended into heaven. And so these were the things that the very earliest Christians believed. That leads to another modern discipline, psychology. Why did they believe these things? They couldn't have been lying, because you don't die for something that you know is a lie. And they couldn't have been crazy. It couldn't have been mass delusion, because the elements of mass hysteria were not present in the resurrection sightings. So these were people who believed what they wrote and who were not crazy. They actually were, what we would say in any other circumstance, eyewitnesses. We can know this. This is knowledge that is available to us now. We can be more certain of the truth of Christianity than we have been at any other time since the very first Christians. And that's an amazing blessing that we have available to us. Now, it's also frustrating that we live at a time that more people than ever are certain that the things in the Bible are not true. But they don't do that because they have evidence. They do that because of their own presuppositions, because of their faith. They are not willing to believe that supernatural explanations are possible. And as a result, they shut themselves off from these things. But we do have this evidence. We have to be ready to know it and to present it, along with more traditional forms of evangelism, like teaching people about the need for a Savior and showing lives that have been changed by the love of Christ to be loving ourselves. Those things have always been something that we've been capable of, but now we can add to it some modern advantages. And hopefully this will be an encouragement to do so, for the sake of those modern Benjamin Franklins who can't be reached by anything else. So if you have anything you want to add to this discussion, or maybe a question about it, or something else in Christianity or in the Bible, feel free to leave that in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video, and until next time, keep looking up.